it is my distinct honor to have the opportunity to give you a very brief overview of the Mohammed VI Foundation for Sustainable Development with an overview of its basic core philosophy. Sustainable development is a term that is often used and sometimes overused as we lose its significance. But the driving core philosophy of the Foundation is coherent with the vision of His Majesty, the King, that human development should be at the core of sustainable development. Indeed, there is a belief that development can only be truly sustainable if we can empower and give capabilities and resources to humans so that they can be, in turn, the faithful stewards of our planets. So it is according to this core belief that His Majesty has put human development at the core of the activities of the Foundation. Indeed, we've looked at three main areas to date: healthcare, training and education, and also fisheries and animal health in countries where this was important. The Foundation was created in 2006 by His Majesty. It is dedicated to human and social development throughout our continent. And throughout its short life, we have developed projects in 7 countries, about 20 initiatives in the areas that I mentioned. Just to give you a brief visual story of these projects, in healthcare, I would note the first project of the Foundation was an eye clinic that was built and managed in Dakar that has up to date, for example, performed 800 eye surgeries per year. And these, of course, are free of charge, and 16,000 consultations. This was followed by the construction of a prenatal clinic in Bamako, as well as a mother and child hospital in Conakry in Guinea. Along this, various donations of medical equipment as well as medication were done in several countries. The second area of emphasis at the Foundation is vocational training and technical education. And indeed, in various countries, the Foundation is building vocational training centers in areas that are relevant to the local economy. So in some places it is tourism, management of constructions, healthcare training, healthcare providers, transportation and logistics is another area. There is also an emphasis on schools, and we've built to date 5 schools in Madagascar, as well as various grants, and you can see that it is supposed to handle 4,000 trainees per year. This is the overall capacity of what we've built so far. And finally, in terms of fisheries and animal health, in 2 countries, we've helped villages of fishermen to develop landing points as well as fish conditioning points to increase their livelihood and sustainability. With this being said, we are extremely proud to partner with the Imbuto Foundation, not only because we think that we share the same values in terms of putting human development at the center of our preoccupation, but also because we want to be coherent with the vision of His Majesty, that the key driver for sustainable development for our continent is South-South cooperation done with a sense of solidarity.
In Kinyarwanda, Imbuto means seed, and this is where our philosophy comes from. As explained by First Lady Mrs. Jeannette Kagame and Chairperson of Imbuto, A seed well planted, watered, nurtured, and given all the necessary support will successfully grow into a healthy plant, one that reaches high and stands tall. This is definitely the philosophy that carries each and every one of our intervention through the years. The different programs I will briefly explain or go over in a few minutes are always aligned with government priorities, but they're also conducted in a way that we create sustainable relationship with community-based organization, so that our motto, E to the power of 3, is always to engage with stakeholders, but also educate and empower our communities. Briefly, the structure of our foundation. We have a board of directors, which oversees a number of working groups, and these working groups are in the fields that are relevant to the daily activities of our staff, meaning that we have people working in finance and department, communications, resource mobilization, but also programs. If you were to take a holistic view at our foundation, Imbuto, you would see that our intervention covers the whole lifespan of an individual, starting from the very first days on the planet until adulthood. So all the projects that we have always try to accompany our citizens through the different stages where they are, whether they are under 12 years old or whether they're going through youth or adulthood. We try to make sure that the different interventions that we have in place actually respond to a need that they're experiencing at the moment. When it comes to education, once again, we begin with early childhood development because we believe that the first years of a child will determine the life that he will live, the kind of opportunities that will be given to them. Always in this idea of promoting education, we also look at development of ICT skills for our youth. And this is done in a center which focuses on primary school students. But we also look at the education of young girls, because even though we've achieved universal education for both girls and boys in Rwanda, there's still some communities where girls need an extra push, where the promotion of this girl education needs to be fostered even more. And this is how every year we conduct a rewarding campaign where we go around the country to the different districts to recognize the girls who deserve to have a platform to put them even higher. And lastly, we have a scholarship project because we realize that in this nation we still have brilliant students who are vulnerable and who cannot afford to complete the secondary education. And this is when Edified Generation comes into place. Looking at health now, we have Family Package, which is actually the very first project that started with Imbuto 15 years ago. And this project links families who are affected by HIV/AIDS with the necessary services, whether they be in health or economic empowerment. We also have a special focus on our youth, where we put in place different youth centers around the country to educate them on sexual and reproductive health, but also look at our young girls between 10 and 12 years old, so they're also empowered with the right information that they need for the socioeconomic advancement, but also for the health status. The youth empowerment. So once again, we believe that empowering our youth will definitely determine the kind of development that we'll see in the future. So every year we organize youth forum series and mentorship activities, so our youth can really develop the kind of critical mind that we're sure will help our country continue to move forward in the same direction and vision that we've given it in the past years. Being put in place the South-South cooperation between two very specific foundations, the King Mohammed VI of Morocco Foundation for Sustainable Development and Imbuto Foundation, which is the foundation that was launched by the First Lady of the Republic, Mrs. Jeannette Kagame, 15 years ago. We see that these two foundations will be working together for sustainable development in the communities. So today we have signed a Memorandum of Understanding between these two entities, and the two fields of activities that will be focused on will be education and health. For health, we will be working on the creation of an industrial kitchen with Solid Africa, which will be able to provide meals to vulnerable patients, in public hospitals. And when it comes to the field of education and empowerment of the community, there will be an integrated development model village, which will be put in place around a center of early childhood development in the community as well.
About the 1 million euros.
So this memorandum of agreement encompasses the very generous amount of 1 million euros.